Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gig Community Calls. Today, we're talking about a very exciting topic coming from within our network. We're talking about open source weather stations. I'm just very happy to open up the call today and to highlight that this is an internal Gig community call that is meant to highlight the amazing work that we witness every day by doing the amazing jobs we're doing from our members. Today is a topic that touches upon a lot of our values as an organization, open source, building from the bottom up, finding solutions to local needs. So welcome everyone. I hope you enjoy it. With this, I'm going to hand it over to Geraldine, who's going to be moderating the call today, and we'll be introducing our speakers.
Thank you so much, Fadia. Yes, as you said, this is a topic and a call that is very much the heart of the topic range that we want to and try to address with our members at GIG. So I'm really excited to learn more about the work that has been done on the open source weather station, the inspiring work that's going to be presented by Gustav Iskander from Common Room Indonesia and Nils from Rhizomatica in Mexico, Germany. And I'm also extending a special hello to all the guests from Indonesia and perhaps also from Common Room who are joining us in this call today. So we got to learn a little bit in conversations that we had when Gustav was able to visit us for this year's Republica and Gig on the project that he's been working on and the open source hardware and tools that have come out of it that hopefully enable communities to do the right kind of data gathering and build their climate resilience. So very much looking forward to learning more about that now, and we'll hand over to you, Gustav and Niels, for your presentations. Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine. It's really great to see you all here. As you can see, I'm rather a kitchen person while Gustav is the bookish guy. So I will start with some recipes and then leave the nitty-gritty details to him. So I hope my screen sharing works. Please let me know if not, because I cannot see you any longer since I'm also staring on the presentation. So to kick you off, I will just tell you very briefly about what the LockNet initiative is all about, and it has been a while. There are many, or not many, but there are some people from the initiative that are also part of GIG, Mike Jensen and Carlos Rey Moreno, to just name two. And so it has always been a dream, and it is still like a vision to bring closer together the work in local communities in the global south and all the work that makers are doing. There are so many overlaps, and with the approach on local services, I think we are getting a bit closer, and Versa Station is one of the most exciting ones. But just to walk you through very quickly, so LockNet was founded in 2017 as a joint effort from the APC, the Association for Progressive Communication, and Rhizomatica, where I collaborate. Both of the organizations, they share deep interest to work with grassroots communities and support organizations in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean. And the aim is to really support them with meaningful community-centered connectivity. Meaningful connectivity, as you see, there is a shift when a couple of years ago, everybody was talking just about access to the internet. Today, it's rather to, okay, where's the meaning coming in and what is meaningful to communities? How would they define what as a local service, a digital network should look like? The current project cycle is from 2024 to 2027. And again, yeah, just our vision is that rural, remote, and marginalized communities have the opportunities, capacities, and resources to achieve and shape meaningful community-centered connectivity that contributes to the strengthening of local well-being, economies, and cultures. And this includes a debate if local networks and offline services are important. And we think, yes, they are complementary. So not everything has to be provided on a cloud far away from the communities, but there are so many things that can also be done locally, run on a local network, or contribute to a larger ecosystem of communication. LockNet works in 4 outcome areas very quickly. So we have the community-centered connectivity approach, which is about all the technologies that have to do with fiber optics, with radio, you name it, the backhaul technology that connects communities to the rest of the world. Then we have local services, as the weather station is one of them that we try to support in its development and also to document, to know what is there. Then there is colleagues that work on capacity building and policy. I think Somat has also joined the call. So hi to him from Indonesia too. And we have a part which is about institutional strengthening and also the gender perspective of the work doing. So I don't want to bore you much about this. We work in 7 countries, so-called focus countries, and Indonesia is one of the countries that we have been engaging for a long time, especially together with Common Room, the organization that Gustav has founded and is representing. So what are local services? Very quickly, I don't want to go through all the details, but rather to talk about the process. So there's so much talk about technologies lately, and there are, of course, a lot of promising technologies. I don't know, AI, Internet of Things, but then the question always is, what is the service there? What is really the aspect that is meaningful, and what is the utility of some of the technologies? Can they really be handled? Can they be localized and socialized by the communities? And if you would try to find out what are meaningful services, what are they? And we have spent like the last 2 years to map them. I think there's still many, but this is like a work in progress. But as you can see here, those are like aspects where local communities say, okay, this is something that we really need to do, or that we want to do, that we want to have an agency at. And yeah, from your maker perspective, you might probably already see some possible contributions. And yeah, as I said before, it would be great to hear. So I will just go quickly through the wheel. There are environmental monitoring projects that are quite important. Also in Brazil, for instance, to territorial defense of large areas of indigenous communities. Is a big need for agriculture and local production, to how to provide and enhance this on a local level. Of course, e-learning, tools for education and capacity building, local economies, great examples from India, for instance, how communities can get access to online payment services that were off the map because they don't fulfill the usual formal criteria to really participate. Language diversity and translation, there is a big demand. So since English still is a predominant language and often also a barrier. Local server management, an important point that is a bit also cross-cutting because it involves so many local services that are of importance. So how can we rather host things locally and not depend on external cloud providers? Energy provision is something, I mean, connectivity and local networks itself need energy, but once you have figured out how to run solar energy, you can also create a service for energy provision for the community to charge mobile phones or also other devices. Resilient and emergency communication is a big topic. Also in Indonesia, maybe Gustav will also talk about this aspect a bit because it's also related to the weather station. Then we work on something what we call community interest media, that is really to say, okay, how do the formats look? What are media? How they have to be reconfigured, or what are the formats that really work and that are of interest to a local community, besides what we know as mainstream journalism. Public access facilities. Here again, this also means all the services of e-governance and others. Are they really prepared to get to the farthest away local community? And if not, how can it be improved? And health and community care services, there's also big demand. So there, even in times before internet, there have been programs on community radios, what to do if the doctor is far away, and things like this. And they retranslate also in digital times. And before handing over, I've just mapped here some technologies that are currently like in the in the scope and actively worked or supported by the initiative. I mean, the open flexure microscope is something that we really discussed with Julian. I have not followed up yet, but I think it's a great tool also for those health services, to give an example. Then there is Mapeo, which helps to create offline cards, offline maps, so communities can, and also in a closed group, map crucial resources of the community for themselves, not exposing them to the internet. In the area of agriculture and local production, there is the OSPIT device for automated irrigation that we showcased at Republica 2 years ago. E-learning tools that are used by communities and where we also foster support to own them, Colibri and Moodle, for instance. Then the eDost program from India that I mentioned before, a really interesting pilot program for financial inclusion. And then there are a couple of more, but I wanted to make it short, and I think now I will rather hand it over to Gustav. And thanks so much. And Gustav, please tell us where the weather station fits all into those big map of local services.
Thank you for the brief introduction, Nils. You make my work is a bit easy, and thank you for all of you. This is very important opportunity for us, not only to share but also to learn. I will try to share my slides here. So I hope you can see it from there. This is a picture from Pulau Aceh, the western part of the most western part of Indonesia, close to the border. And our in the picture you see some of our colleague is doing an experiments to set up remote sensing devices to monitor the sea water. So a bit of background. I think everybody knows that climate change impact many different places in the world, including in Indonesia. And this complexity is also not only impacting the environment, but also the people. And as we also learn that climate change adaptation and mitigation need a long-term process, which is very challenging and very complex, while people in rural and remote areas have their own concern in taking priorities. And this project is actually part of community-based innovation lab for climate resilience that we developed back in 2024. It is also part of the School of Community Networks projects that we developed together with APC back in 2021. Most of our focus on this project is to set up a collaborative platform so people can learn how to set up remote sensing technologies, collecting microclimate data, and improve the decision-making process for many different purposes, either for farming, fisheries, disaster response, etc., etc. And currently, our pilot project is started in Maros in South Sulawesi, and in Aceh. There you can see in the map where our community-centered connectivity projects is being developed. At the moment, we develop projects in around 11 different places located in 10 different provinces. And you can see a red marking is where the DIY weather station project is being developed. Apart from weather station projects, we also develop different modules and curricula for training materials, from basic computers to computer networks, internet infrastructure, internet for remote learning, for telemedicine, for disaster response, and so on. And we also do capacity building either for School of Community Networks participants, as well as to develop a community of practice in within a common room. This in the picture is where we, for the first time, we learn about Internet of Things and artificial intelligence from Mr. Budi Raharjo, one of the leading figure on internet security, remote sensing, and artificial intelligence in Indonesia. So starting from last year, we have already started to do a prototyping of DIY weather station which basically try to learn and adapt open source technology in order to develop simple devices that can help us collecting microclimate data that can be utilized for different purposes. Like I mentioned before, this one is for farming, fishery, and disaster response. We also create a dashboard where people can see how the data that has been collected is being we develop data analytics and visualization so people can have better understanding about what is microclimate data is all about and how we can use it for our needs. And we also do some prototyping on modeling from the data that are being collected from the field, and try to do some data modeling for weather forecasting, for example. This is still a tryout after many errors and mistakes. Later on, my friends from Insan Indonesia maybe can explain. This is some of the prototypes of remote sensing technologies that we use for water monitoring at canals, also at the sea. Basically, we try to monitor the water level, the water quality, the salinity, the oxygen level. In Maros, in Sulawesi, we use this project to enhance fisheries activities, while in Pulau Aceh, we try to collect sea monitoring data for coral conservation initiative in the area. There are some challenges on people, process, and technology, but for this, I will leave. Maybe I will. I would like to ask Rois, my colleague, who are actively involved in the project implementation and development, to briefly explain what is the challenges. So then later we can discuss this together, and maybe we can also explore collaborations in the future. Rois, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm with you, Gustav.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks to Gustav, and hello everyone. I just wanna show you a little bit, maybe I tell you a little bit about our challenge in the field. I classified it into three classified about people, process, and the technology. For the people, our challenge is the lack of technical skill and digital literacy, so that the technology adoption needs to be developed in several steps at rural, and also our knowledge transfer a little bit hampered because we know that a little bit gap between we as the development and the beneficiaries as the implementation people there. The secondly is about the process. We have weather data policy and regulation in Indonesia still do not allow weather information to be broadcast to the public as open. We asked them, and they just show us the reason. One kind of the reason is to find another way that people will not afraid for the weather information or data, or maybe bias information. The secondly is a lack of funding support for long-term learning exploration, because what we do is about exploiting development, trial and error. Maybe Gustav and Nils know how much or how many we find the failed, but we always try to find another way for getting the better product or prototype. The third is the technology. We are using the cheap sensor. We always try to find another cheaper, because we want to try the best approach for the prototype. But we are talking about frugal IoT. Maybe Gustav will explain later, so that the durability of prototype components still our challenge today. The secondly is about the calibration and data quality. We are trying to approach the Indonesian Weather Organization, and they wanna join us about the calibration. But we we are not find the method today for the calibrating, because the calibrating is expensive. The process is very expensive. The third is about the inefficient power management. We are using the solar panel and photovoltaic. This is the most big challenge, because we place the prototype in the extreme environmentally lab. And the last is the extreme condition and harsh environment, because we are not using in the room, in the building, we are placing it in the canal, in the ocean, and the potential of animal attacks is very real. Maybe that is the our biggest challenge that needs to be discussed later. I'll get you back to Gustav.
Okay, thank you, Rois. So I think that is all some of informations and experience, including some field notes from Indonesia. And we would like to discuss and consult and learn from all of your experience working on this topic. So I give the time back to you, Geraldine. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Niels, Gustav, and Royce. Super interesting. I have many questions I would like to ask to follow up with what you shared, but I don't want to reserve the time exclusively for me. So I am also opening the floor now for everybody's questions and comments. You can feel free to raise your hand physically or with the Zoom function, or just put your questions and comments into the chat if that's easier for you, depending on your bandwidth situation. So, yeah, questions welcome from everyone, and of course, also any shared insights. Whilst I'm waiting for those hands to go up, let me just throw in a couple from my side. And maybe then, once we've talked about some of the aspects, I would love also to open this up and see where can we take this amazing work that you've done, like what would be the vision for people to recreate, maybe with their local communities, to use in different contexts. So let's talk about that a little bit later. But first of all, can you share a little bit more, either on the process or also any of the lessons learned, how from sort of assessing the community's needs, as in what data can be gathered, what things can be done, and actually working with it? How has this sort of been in the project? Like you touched on it a little bit in your presentation, but maybe, as you said, that there will be some gaps sort of in understanding the needs of a community, then proposing a certain kind of technology to gather data and to collect inputs, and then the community actually being able to use that data to do things with it. Can you share with us a little bit more the learnings and the insights that you had during the course of the project?
Well, thank you for the initial questions. Basically, what we have been developed in the last years is accumulations of training and capacity building that we have done in the past 5 years. But before we start with training and capacity building, what we are usually do is to have specific surveys and assessments, especially for needs assessments at the community level. In terms of methods and process, we utilize a rural, we call that a participatory rural appraisal, where we engage and actively involve local community to collect specific informations, especially like the needs, challenges, specific informations about their geographical context, as well as social and cultural aspect. And then from there, we also map out the power relations in between different actors and agencies at the community level. And from there, we also started to learn some of the technical level and their understanding about technology. And above all of this, we also need to recognize the rights to connect and disconnects, because when it comes to rural and remote communities, especially indigenous communities, they also have their own rights to and sovereignty. Some of indigenous community in Indonesia doesn't really open to technology, especially internets, and we need to appreciate that. And from these projects, we also learn that to introduce certain use of technologies, you also have to work in different steps, because each community have a different ability to learn and different speed. Sometimes you can do things very fast, but sometimes it's very slow. Like for example, in Ciptagelar indigenous community in West Java, we managed to set up community center connectivity infrastructure during the first years of project implementation, after we conducting training and capacity building. But in the eastern part of Indonesia, it took 4 years to bring the technology, especially internet access, to be developed by local community. So we use this participatory approach as one of our main strategy. Sometimes we also experience failures, and somehow failures is also allow us to learn how to do better. And in fact, during our attempt in developing these open source and DIY weather station projects, we experience quite a lot of errors and mistakes, especially when it comes to prototyping process. And the local community help us a lot to to do some modelings, like for example to set up this floating how to make sure that the sensor device can be float, and the local fisheries know how. So Roy is telling us that rural and remote community have a different level of technical skill and knowledge. Sometimes their knowledge is also very useful for the prototyping process. But I think one thing that is also important is how to can be sensible to all of this aspect of local information and knowledge.
Absolutely. Thank you. That was really insightful. Sammy, over to you for a question or comment.
All right, thank you very much. But I enjoyed the presentation, and a lovely project you're working on. I wanted to ask a question about the water monitoring tool. In terms of climate issues, Ghana has a lot of them. The key one amongst it being the pollution of river bodies because of illegal mining. A number of organizations are into monitoring the rivers of Ghana to measure things like turbidity and the rest. I want to find out, how are creators the overwatcher, if I got the name right, in terms of the data it generates, and is it able to monitor things like the turbidity of rivers? Thank you.
Well, in terms of technicalities of sensor device and data collected from this, maybe Royce, you can also explain what kind of data that we can collect from the remote sensing device that we develop in the field.
Yes, the sensing is the parameter is about the acidity level, and then the temperature, and then the salinity, the water monitoring level, because flood flood it can happen anytime in Maros. And then the most important thing we are control is about the salinity level. When you came to Maros, the people there try to find how much the salinity level is, try to put the water into their eyes, so that it's very danger for them. So we are creating the how we can monitoring the salinity and the acidity of the water. Why we are trying that? Because they are using the salinity or the acidity for the for their pond. So because there are fisheries, they are ponding the some kind of fish and then some kind of the another pet in the pond. Maybe that, Gustav.
Yeah, but you can also use certain sensor devices to monitor like a dangerous chemical and something like that. In the case of Maros in South Sulawesi, we collect data on salinity and acidity because the extreme weather dynamics is quite strong. Like during the high rain season, for example, you have quite a lot of water with very low salinity, which allow you to cultivate fish. But during the hot season, where salinity can increase, you cannot longer grow fish, but you can produce salt, for example. And this kind of weather pattern that we are trying to monitor. While in Aceh, in western part of Indonesia, we we use the remote sensing device to monitor the acidity level of the sea water, because we would like to help the local community to do some coral conservation, while the bleaching process is happen because the rising temperature of sea water, which also trigger the increase of acidity, which damage the coral. And then from the data we collected, we can decide what kind of strategy that we can utilize in order to conserve the coral. In this case, there has been already some ideas to combine the coral protections with seagrass cultivation, for example, to bring back all the fishes and the healthy of coral ecosystem. And I don't know whether there has been already a case where you use remote sensing devices to monitor dangerous chemistry from mining activities, but I think that is also possible to be developed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Niels, did you want to also add to the answer, or Ricardo, do you have a new question? Then maybe Niels first quickly and then Ricardo's question.
Thank you. Yeah, that I wanted to add to this, Samuel. So we can definitely follow up, also find out if there is already an initiative with Mercury. There should be in the Amazon region, but we can maybe point out this contact even closer to you in Nigeria. We also collaborate with the Media Awareness and Justice Initiative in the Niger Delta. And they are, for instance, monitoring the particle matter of oil flaring, gas flaring, so which is affecting a lot the local health. And this has been a very successful project because they're creating like data sets, community-led data sets to provide proof that there is pollution taking place and have to make the government act. And so this, in combination with the collaboration with local media and national media, has been very effective campaigning. And just one more thing, I think that to build weather stations or all other devices that are using sensors, it's also interesting to think on the architecture. So there is something called the ESP32 sensor board, which provides already functionality for a huge variety of sensors, also for chemicals and other ones. So thinking of those building blocks, and the more initiatives also share certain open technologies on the hardware or the software level, then the easier it will also be to tweak them or to further adapt them to local needs.
That's great. Thank you. Ricardo and then Mustafa.
No, thank you. First of all, congratulations for the project. It's just amazing. I can see the useness of this project here down here for coral reefs, for mining catastrophes. Everything is happening around my place as well, and perhaps we can partner with one of the labs that have here to try to make this But despite of that, are you also create some kind of sensoring or devices for sensor for soil health?
Ricardo asking for a friend on the soil topic. Gustav, how about soils?
Yeah, well, some friends in Bandung has already been started to work on some sensor device to monitor the soil health, including to monitor the bacteria, the nutrition, and so on and so on. In fact, during my stay in Berlin, we also discussed about how to use remote sensing devices to do soil mapping at the community level. This will be an interesting topic because, as you probably noticed, after the green revolutions, there has been a lot of case where soil health has been decreased because of excessive use of chemical pesticide, fertilizers, and so on. And I think this kind of projects, particularly for sensing technologies to monitor the soil health, is also important to make us having a better understanding what is needed to maintain the health of the soil. And I think we can also share that and collaborate to develop this technology together.
Great. I'm gonna note a couple of questions that I want to ask from Geekside in a minute, but first of all, over to you, Mustafa.
All right, so thank you very much. I wanted to know how compatible your devices are with maybe with other sensors. So, for instance, here in Ghana, I have a colleague of mine who came to me working on a project of this water pollution in the country we are currently facing. So he's trying to monitor heavy metals like mercury, which of course most scale miners have been using in mining. Yeah, so he has this device. I don't know. It's a very small sensor that's made of a gold foil and other electronic circuits. So once you drop some few liquids of polluted water, if there is mercury, the mercury will react with the gold foil you use in the sensor, and then display some values of level of pollution. But it's still at the developing stages that we've been doing. So I don't know how compatible some of these sensors can be with the open source weather station, of course, that you guys are working on. Secondly, too, I would also want to know the transmission. Are you transmitting data via LoRa or GSM or GPRS or something? So that, because most of the places here in Ghana where these activities are occurring or where these rivers are found are out of coverage areas of network. So the most suitable ones we'll be looking to is maybe LoRa or other edge computing technologies. So I don't know how compatible or some of the features you have at your end in the device you have.
Thank you, Mustafa. That first part of the question also ties in really well with a question I was going to ask, is in like, does it make sense? And if yes, in what way, to see what other climate sensor projects people within Gig are working on and how they could be connected to the weather station if it makes sense?
Yes, 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 yes.
Well, I think there has been a huge field of explorations when it comes to remote sensing technologies, not only weather but also to monitor the environmental quality, especially including the pollutions. And in Indonesia, there has been an increased demand of explorations surrounding on remote sensing device for environmental monitoring. But of course, in our context, this is still an early development process, and we still need to learn a lot. I think that is why we propose to have more discussions with the Global Innovation Gathering networks, because we are really confident that all of this knowledge are shared and distributed to many different channels and networks, and from here we can exchange and try to develop kind of a shared knowledge, where we can share, we can learn many different ways in utilizing remote sensing technologies. And yeah, and in Indonesia is also still quite challenging working with remote sensing technologies, because our government still not really open when it comes to policy and regulations. You can got a very high fine when if you release the data to public, or you can go to jail. So this is something that we, apart from technology and to increase the technical skill, the other part of the work is, of course, around the policy and regulations to make sure that this kind of open source and citizen science approach can be developed in order to make sure that not only the climate data, but also the data on environmental monitoring and quality is also can be come part of the public domain.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I would love to get back to the regulatory aspects in a minute, hoping we'll still have time. But Niels, over to you first, please.
Yeah, very quickly. I just wanted to also answering Mustafa. I think about the connectivity issue and how to transmit also the data. This is part also of the testing right now. I think LoRa is interesting. What has to be said is also the map that Gustav was showing earlier about the schools of community networks. So creating access and connectivity in communities was also like a pre-requirement. Then work with weather stations and to can share the data. And in the current stage of the project, we will also test technology that was prepared, open source technology that was prepared by Rhizomatica, which is called Hermes. So to transmit also data over digital shortwave. So we will test those transceivers, and we will really see if they fit the use case. I think this is always important, because everybody gets excited with his or her own technology that is brought forward, but really see if it makes sense and if it's also sustainable. And that's very quickly touching upon this topic of repair cultures that I know that is very dear to many gig people too. I think this is also the challenges that Royce was mentioning earlier. So how to ensure that we will have like an environment where those weather stations can also be fixed. So where are the skill sets coming from, the supply of specific components of it. So I think there will also be a big learning this year about this.
Thank you, Royce.
Yes, just to add for Mustafa's question, we are making this tool as general as possible. We are using open source, and then the source code we are uploading in GitHub, so that we hope that everyone can develop this together. Why? Because we believe that if we try this with everyone in a part of it and many times, we are just hope that our product or our prototype will be more maybe will get advantage for everyone, so that then we just try to make this prototype or product or some kind of our product will be compatible. We are trying to give a lot of space to be compatible to every devices, and then the open source we are open it and we are using the open source. Maybe that's the addition, Geraldine. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. So I still open for everybody, especially if you are thinking this is interesting, it relates to my work in some way, or I'd like to recreate this in some way, please don't be shy to raise your hand or just open your mic and come in. Otherwise, I would be super interested in seeing, okay, this is so great. And you already pointed in some directions, but what are the concrete next steps and how can Gig help with them? How are you planning to further develop the prototype and what you have? And what could we also possibly support in terms of adaptation and scaling to other places, if that's relevant? So would love to hear more on that topic from you. I'm also, of course, super interested in the regulatory aspects. I mean, this is such a crazy world we live in where Trump is going to invest so much money to blow up satellites to not collect weather data anymore. And some governments are making the sharing of such data in a public way illegal when we really need to empower communities and have this kind of data. So if you see any angle where support from Gig, writing a policy paper, arguing on this on the base of SDGs and fulfilling SDGs or other frameworks could be useful, that's also something I'm really interested in. So yeah, but maybe we'll start with the what's next? What are the steps that you're looking at further developing? What kind of feedback from the community would you like? What kind of scaling and adaptation are you interested in? Lots of questions.
Yeah, well, first thing, we would like to learn more about how we can utilize and optimize the remote sensing device to collect and monitor environmental data. So if there are someone at the Geeks networks have some knowledge and experience about this, we would like to learn not only the remote sensing, but also how to optimize the power source. We some of our project site is located in the off-grid area, so solar panels is one of the things that we are very interested to work on. We try to learn how to use the OMPPT hardwares, but the first attempt is a bit failed because we just realized that the temperature in Indonesia can be very high, while the sensor device in OMPPT is setting up into a modest temperature that are referring to environment in Germany. So this is something that we need to discuss and learn how to optimize the use of remote sensing device and the power source. And the other challenge is, like has been mentioned by Nils, is how to send the data, because some of our project site is also located in the blank spot area. It can be LoRa. Currently, we are preparing to learn more about Hermes. And I'm really sure there are many different options to do this. And I think the next step is how to have this shared learning networks and channels, so we can also share and develop this together.
Great. I've tried to write down a couple of these things, and I hope that I might get back to you, Gustav, to write some of these things up, because of course we'd like to share this also as a takeout from today's session with the wider network and see where we can find the right feedback also for people who didn't come to today's session. Other questions and comments before we start wrapping things up? Niels, sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Niels,
No,
please.
that's fine. No, very quickly, I also wanted to say what Kim shared earlier about the work that is done. I think that is also great to follow up the documentation of the sensors, and as Gustav said, the learning curve is quite steep. So to like the Open Maximum PowerPoint tracker it's a great device, but it's not really documented in a way that it's easy to fix or to detect problems with it. So and also the idea to have kits, so to facilitate the replication of things. That's an interesting aspect where I think we can learn a lot from the gig community.
Great, thank you, Nils. Kim, do you want to come in and share anything more about that, or?
Sorry, yeah, I was off because I was busy here. But yeah, I mean, it's an open source project, so also we can share the codes and all the materials that we already developed. It's really European centralized, so the schools, especially in Germany, are using the kits. But nowadays we are starting to work with schools in Brazil, so also we are starting translating and also adapting the content and the materials, so we can talk further about that. And also, I'm not the technical guy, but also I can connect you, Gustav, with my colleagues to talk about data transmission, because we also support open data platforms. So all these remote sensing are connected, so they can transmit the data. So we use different ways to transmit the data. Some of them LoRa, some Wi-Fi, and low frequency technologies. So we can discuss further, about that, and then I can connect you with my technical colleagues to support you guys.
Super.
That's awesome. So there's one concrete takeaway already. I mean, like I said, I'm a huge fan of this work and this project. And like I said, Gustav, if you want to explore any of the policy angles further with me, that'd be great. And I'd also still love to see, I think I would love to hear your vision, maybe to close with where you would like this to go. But I can definitely see the vision of having a whole bunch of grassroots community operated weather stations in different places around the world. Navarus in his 50-degree plus heat he's living in, the river pollution that you were mentioning in Ghana, and how it's affecting communities, all the different possible use cases where it could be so powerful to have communities gather and work with their own data. And maybe it's also a nice idea to reconnect with Jill, who's been running Data Labby, and has sort of taken a break from being attending gig calls because he's in the middle of finishing his PhD, I believe, but to learn a little bit from the sort of community data narratives also that he's been working on, how to actually utilize that data to engage in policy processes and other things. So really happy to just see this kind of as a kickoff and continue the discussion and see how we can support the further utilization and development of things. Maybe Gustav, Nils, Royce, do you want to close us off with a little bit of a vision of where you hope to take this?
Yeah, well, from our end, we see community-centered connectivity and meaningful access as a main objective, and is our big visions. That we believe that the community and grassroots community, especially indigenous community and other vulnerable community, have also the same rights to access information and knowledge and utilize technology based on their needs, challenge, and expectations. And I think it is important to leverage and to opening up channels of communications and access to the knowledge in order to increase not only the technical skills and digital literacy, but also how to optimize the technology to address existing challenges at the local level. And well, Indonesia is, I think, similar to many different countries in the world. We are living in a very challenging time at the moment, not only in regards to climate change, but also in the political sense as well. And there has been a shift of internet and digital technologies from, well, in the beginning, we believe that internet is like a protagonist agencies, but recently we also see internet and digital technology also have this antagonistic characters. But through global innovation gatherings and other open source project, I do believe that we can still maintain and amplify the protagonist character of technologies that can be benefit for many different communities in many different parts of the world.
Thank you. I think that's an absolutely beautiful vision. Is there anything anybody else from the team who presented today wants to add? I think it's already a very round wrap up. So seeing that we're at the end of the hour, then I would say thank you very much to Gustav, Nils, Royce, and like I said, all everybody who attended today from Common Room and from the people involved. And thanks to all the gig members for attending as well. Looking forward to see how we can continue to work and support this in what you're doing in Indonesia, but also in other countries around the world. So thanks very much for today's session, and thank you for organizing as well, Fadia.
Thank you for the opportunity, and Ricardo, I'm really happy to see you. we have to do something again in the canals.
Just 22 years ago, Gustav. Just
Yeah.
22 years ago.
Yeah, not long, 20 years, yeah.
Well, glad to have brought you back in the same space. Sadly, it didn't happen for this year's Republica, but hopefully for next.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Have a lovely